na tadari na 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 ta na na na
Sorry, Kishore, can you reduce the Shruti box a little bit?
Okay.
It's overwhelming your voice.
Oh, I see. Okay. एकदन्तं महाकायं लम्बोदरगजाननं एकदन्तं महाकायं लम्बोदरगजाननं विघ्ननाशकरं देवं हेरम्बं प्रणमाम्यहं हेरम्बं प्रणमाम्यहं Thank you for the opportunity to present a few compositions on the theme of SreerAma panchAyatana today. We are in the midst of Pushyamasam of this year, which is the auspicious time of thyAgarAja Swami's Punyatithi. So even though it's his death anniversary, this is the time that thyAgarAja Swami has finally reached the pinnacle of his devotion for Lord SreerAma and finally attained the mukti. SreerAma showered the complete blessings on thyAgarAja Swami during the Pushyamasam. And in two weeks, we are going to have the Punyatithi of Sri thyAgarAja Swami. So we decided to pay homage to one of the greatest composers of the modern era of Indian classical music and take a slightly arcane and less known theme within the realm of thyAgarAja krithis. And thyAgarAja Swami, as you all probably know, has covered a lot of ground in classical music. Even though what we know thyAgarAja Swami as is an ardent devotee of SreerAma, he has covered a lot of aspects, a lot of themes, a number of deities, and a number of emotions through his compositions. He composed on Lord Shiva when he visited Saiva Kshetras. He composed on Amba. He composed on Tulasi. He composed on Narasimha Swami. And also, he also composed a genre of Carnatic music where the compositions are not specifically targeted at any particular deity, but they are more of sending a message to the future generations. Within the well-known area of SreerAma Bhakti, SreerAma panchAyatana is a small portion where SreerAma panchAyatana, as Jayaji has mentioned at the beginning, is a beautiful picture of Sri Ramji with his 5 best devotees, Sita Mata, Lakshmana, Bharata, Shatrugna and Hanuman. thyAgarAja Swami has inherited the deities or vigrahas of panchayatana from his ancestors, and he has regularly in his daily rituals he worshipped the panchayatana, SreerAma panchayatana. So during the worshipping of, and this is a tradition, it's called Devatachana. So from generations to generations, this tradition is passed on. and those vigrahas will stay within the family. Typically, the oldest son of the family inherits it, but anybody in the family can inherit it. But the most important thing is worshipping the idols or the deities in using the family tradition is what is known as Devatarchana. And thyAgarAja Swami has inherited the panchAyatana vigrahas, and he very, very ardently worshipped panchayatanam every single day. So his focus was he had a single-minded focus for the most part on SreerAma. But there were times where he would look at this broad picture of all of SreerAma and his parivar, and he would go into ecstasy. There are a number of emotions, a number of stories that came out as a result of thyAgarAja Swami worshipping the Rama Panchayatanam. So Panchayatanam, as I said, is Rama with 5 devotees, and sage Valmiki in Ramayanam beautifully describes the scene of SreerAma Panchayatanam. Vame bhumi suta purastha hanumanscha paschat sumitra sutah bharata shatrughna parshvedalayo vame bhumi suta purastha hanumanscha paschat sumitra sutah bharata shatrughna parshvedalayo Vame Bhumisuta. On the left side of SreerAma is situated Bhumisuta, Sita Mata. Purastha Hanumanscha. Hanuman is sitting in front of SreerAma. Typically in the pictures that we come across, Hanuman typically sits down at the feet of Rama in the front. Paschat Sumitra Sutaha. Sumitra Sutta is Lakshmana. Lakshmana is standing behind, and Lakshmana is, as many of you know, is the primary bodyguard of SreerAma, and his incarnation, the very purpose of his incarnation was to protect Rama and serve all his life. So he is standing behind and watching for any harm coming the Lord's way and keeping the Lord out of danger all the time. So Purastha Hanumansya Paschat Sumitra Sutaha Bharata Shatrughna Parsvedalayoha. So Bharata and Shatrughna situated on each side of Rama, protecting him. So this is the complete picture of SreerAma Panchayatanam. Sita Mata on left, Hanuman in the front, Lakshmana in the back, Bharata and Shatrughna on each side, completely surrounding like a circle on SreerAma. So that is the picture that I would like everyone to imagine as we go through the emotions and the stories told by Sri thyAgarAja Swami through his compositions. And thyAgarAja Swami also had, in his lifetime, he had a kind of struggle with his own brother, who did not approve of him going deep into the philosophical way of living. And his brother Japesa Brahmam has taken the Panchayatanam, the Vigrahas, one night, and he threw them away in river Kaveri. This is a well-known story, and the reason I am paraphrasing the story of the Panchayatana Vigrahas being thrown in the Kaveri is thyAgarAja Swami has severe attachment to Panchayatanam. So the moment he noticed that the Vigrahas are gone, Panchayatanam is gone, he felt that his life was totally empty. It came to a standstill, and he could not bear it. So immediately he left the house. He owed to find the Panchayatanam, the Vigrahas, and then he would return only upon finding the Vigrahas. So such is the great attachment that thyAgarAja Swami has to the Panchayatana Vigrahas, and every single day with a lot of devotion he used to worship. And thyAgarAja Swami is a great storyteller, and he is also a very emotional person, as we can tell from the compositions that he has passed on to us. And every day during the worshipping of panchAyatana, doing worshipping of Rama, new emotions would come to him, and using his inner eye, he would see pictures, he would see stories, he would see the characters in panchAyatana come alive and do things that we have not heard of anywhere else in any of the other scriptures, other Puranas, or other texts, spiritual texts like Ramayanam and any of the Upanishads. So such is the great imagination of thyAgarAja Swami. We'll see some examples today of that. So the first composition that I'll be presenting is in Raga Asaveri, and this is a very soothing composition, and thyAgarAja Swami looks at everyone in the panchAyatana, and he would ask, why did they come and why did they stick to the Lord like glue? What makes them so attracted to the Lord? So he would ask himself the question, and he would come up with a thesis on why Sita Mata came and she stuck to him in spite of Rama going to the forests and Sita Mata going with him, leaving all the material comforts of the Raj Mahal, the kingdom behind. Why did she do that? Why did she stick to the Lord? Why did Lakshmana do that? He's just a brother, but why did he do that? And why did Bharata stick? What is Bharata's devotion to Rama? What is Shatrugna's devotion to Rama? And what is Hanuman's devotion? And where do all these people extract the eternal bliss that makes them come and stick with the Lord, is the question that he asks. And he would come up with his own reasoning and a thesis of why they all did it. And Asaveri as the ragam is a very ancient raga and very well explored. thyAgarAja Swami himself has composed at least 6 to 8 very well known compositions in Asaveri. Dikshitar has also composed on Asaveri, and many of the modern composers have also adopted it. So it's a very well known raga, and it's my own interpretation is it's called Asaveri because it shares the Arohana with Saveri, the same notes, but Avarohana, because it's a janya of Hanumattodi, it takes Adharana Gandharam and Vakra Prayogam in Avarohana, and Saveri with a different twist is Asaveri, is what I'm thinking based on what I have studied. Lekana ninnu chuttukonnaru lekana ninnu chuttukonnaru lekana నిన్ను చుట్టుకొన్నారు లేకనా నిన్ను చుట్టుకొన్నారు హృదయులై నిత్యానందము లేకనా నిన్ను చుట్టుకొన్నారు ఏక హృదయులై నిత్యానందము లేకనా లేకనా శ్రీకర కరుణా సాగర శ్రీకర కరుణా సాగర శ్రీకర కరుణా సాగర నిరూపమా శ్రీకర కరుణా సాగర నిరూపమా చిన్మయ శ్రీత చింతమణి నీయడ శ్రీకర కరుణా సాగర నిరూపమా చిన్మయ శ్రీత చింతమణి నీయడ లేకనా నిన్ను చుట్టుకొన్నారు ఏక హృదయులై నిత్యానందము లేకనా లేకనా సౌందర్యము లలో సుఖము సీతమ్మకు సౌందర్యము లలో సుఖము సీతమ్మకు సౌమిత్రికి కనుల జాడలో సుఖము సౌందర్యము లలో సుఖము సీతమ్మకు సౌమిత్రికి కనుల జాడలో సుఖము లేకనా నిన్ను చుట్టుకొన్నారు ఏక హృదయులై నిత్యానందము లేకనా లేకనా సుందర ముఖమున సుఖము భరతునికి సుందర ముఖమున సుఖము భరతునికి సుజ్ఞాన రూపమున సుఖము రేపునికి సుందర ముఖమున సుఖము భరతునికి సుజ్ఞాన రూపమున సుఖము రేపునికి లేకనా నిన్ను చుట్టుకొన్నారు ఏకహృదయులై నిత్యానందము లేకనా లేకనా చరణ యుగంబునందు సుఖమాంజనేయునికి చరణ యుగంబునందు సుఖమాంజనేయునికి వరగుణ thyAgarAja వరదానదము చరణ యుగంబునందు సుఖమాంజనేయునికి వరగుణ thyAgarAja వరద ఆనందము లేకనా నిన్ను చుట్టుకొన్నారు ఏకహృదయులై నిత్యానందము లేకనా 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 So those are the sources of eternal bliss for each of Rama's devotees. Saundaryamulo sukhamu Sitammaku. So Sitamma extracts bliss and joy out of the beauty of Lord SreerAma, who is her own husband. So she is so proud of him. All aspects of Rama is a source of bliss and beauty. So Sitamma extracts joy from that source. Saumitriki kanula zadalo sukhamu. So for Lakshmana, it's just being within the eyesight. Kanula zada is eyesight. Within the eyesight of Rama itself is a source of joy. And many of you probably know, Lakshmana's incarnation was based on why Adiseshu became Lakshmana. Is Indrajit had this boon where he can only be killed by somebody who works for 14 years without sleep and without food, without any kind of material comforts, and serves the Lord and puts himself to the test. Only that person can kill Indrajit. So Lakshmana was created to fill that role. And Lakshmana's charge was to stay within. He never goes outside the eyesight of Lord Rama. He always stays. He always protects Rama. He always serves Rama. He always keeps the Lord out of harm's way. So Saumitriki kanula zadalo sukam, staying within the eyesight of the Lord is the source of joy for Lakshmana. Sundaramukhamuna sukhamu Bharatuniki. So for Bharata, it's and Bharata for the most part during the Aranyavasam, he stayed away from the Lord. But in his heart, he made an image of Lord SreerAma, the beautiful face of Lord SreerAma. He worshipped his brother for 14 years, waiting for the return from forests. And Bharata extracts happiness from just imagining the beautiful face of Lord Rama. And Sujnana Rupamuna Sukhamu Ripugnaniki. Shatrughna is the embodiment of knowledge and wisdom. And he extracts that wisdom from Lord Rama. So Rama, who is the embodiment of wisdom, and Shatrughna extracts from it all the wisdom from Rama, and he extracts eternal bliss from him. And finally, Charana Yugambunandu Sukhamu Anjaneyaniki. And Hanuman always stays at the feet of Lord Rama. And for him, that's the best place for him in his opinion. And he is extremely happy when he is able to sit at the feet of Lord Rama. And finally, thyAgarAja Swami has this habit in all his compositions. When he goes through all these 5, he would insert himself as the 6th Sevak. Varaguna thyAgarAja Varada Anandamu. And for me, you are thyAgarAja Varada. You are my source of happiness. You give me everything I need to get going, everything I need to keep my own existence intact. And then that source is eternal happiness, Anandam. So after describing all 5 of them, asking the question, why did they stick to the Lord? And then he would go into the thesis and then explain. He would insert him as the 6th Sevak, and he would postulate that Lord Rama is a source of eternal happiness for him too, and not just the 5 Sevaks in panchAyatana. So that's a beautiful depiction, a very emotional expression of what thyAgarAja Swami thought of panchAyatana. Next, we'll move on to a very well-known composition in Raga Bhairavi. And here we are making a transition from ecstasy and logic to jealousy and a piece of storytelling. So thyAgarAja Swami, when he started worshipping at one fine morning, he looked at panchAyatanam and something in his heart started paining. And he's a mere immortal. Even though he is so devoted and he surrendered himself to the Lord, heart of hearts he had this little doubt that SreerAma is not hearing to him, is not listening to him, he is not paying attention to him. And he would ask, why would that be? Why is Lord probably not listening to me? Why my prayers are not reaching him? And he would go into introspection, he would go into reasoning, he would go into ritual, he would go into scriptures and look for answer for these questions that occasionally arise in his mind. And he would come up with a little tinge of jealousy. He is telling himself, maybe because Lord Rama has all his sevaks, his panchayatanam, his 5 sevaks already with him. So Sita Mata is there, Lakshmana is there, Bharata, Shatrughna, his own brothers are all there, Hanuman is there. So he is content with the service that he is getting from these 5 sevaks. So he probably doesn't need me. He may be thinking, Lord may be thinking that I don't need anyone else. I already have what I need. I'm getting all the services and all the attention from my sevaks. So out of that little tinge of jealousy and a little bit of agony, he sang this composition, Upacharam Chesevarunarani Maruvukra. So now he is convinced that Lord is not listening to him because he's all set otherwise. So he doesn't need thyAgarAja Swami, he doesn't need me, he doesn't need any more services, he doesn't need any more servants. So he is trying to convince Lord that it's not enough. Just because you have all these five, it doesn't mean that there are not other people longing to serve you, Lord. So please don't forget that there are outside of your inner circle of these five sevaks or panchAyatanam, there are devotees, there are people who are ready to jump in to serve, is the message that he is giving the Lord. And that's how he is telling his mind that the Lord will listen to him, and Lord, this logic will appeal to the Lord, and finally the Lord Rama will come in rescue of thyAgarAja Swami and listen to his prayers. So we'll present Raga Bhairavi, Upacharam Chesevarunarani Maruvukra.
Namaskaram everyone. This is such a beautiful composition in Bhairavi. Actually, we are all suffering again Omicron, COVID, and how many days, how many months, how many years will be staying. But this is such a beautiful composition that we are going to visit SreerAma's house, maybe. In the Charanam, it says Vakitane Padilamuga. At the doorstep, Lord Anjaneya was there. And maybe we can imagine in living room, his all brothers are serving him. Ekantamuna Janaki. Maybe we'll go to his bedroom. There, Sitama was there. So all these people are there, as Kishore just told. All these are there. I'm also there. Don't forget me, like that. So it's always it gives me so much the joy to go to, like, okay, we go there and Lord Anjaneya is at the doorstep and we go into his house, into the house. I always pray how like when we will reach that situation, and it is not easy. But it's very easy to imagine. So I'm going to present Upacharam Chesevaru in Bhairavi Ragam. Upacharamu Chesevaya Runarani Maruvagura. 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 Upacharamu Chesevaru. Krupakavalenani neni. Krupakavalenani neni. Krupakavalenani neni. Krupakavalenani neni. Kirtini balkuju mudaga. Krupakavalenani neni. నుండగా ఉపచారము చేసేవారుని మరువగురా ఉపచారము చేసేవారు వాకిటనే పదిలముగా వారతాత్మజుడు నాడని వాకిటనే పదిలముగా వారతాత్మజుడు నాడని వాకిటనే పదిలముగా వారతాత్మజుడు నాడని శ్రీకరులకు నీ తమ్ములు చేరియున్నారని శ్రీకరులకు నీ తమ్ములు చేరియున్నారని ఏకాంతము నను జానకి ఏర్పడియు నదని ఏకాంతము నను జానకి ఏర్పడియు నదని శ్రీకాంత పరులేలని శ్రీకాంత పరులేలని శ్రీ త్యాగరాజ వినూత శ్రీకాంత పరులేలని శ్రీ త్యాగరాజ వినూత ఉపచారము చేసేవారుని మరువగురా ఉపచారము చేసేవారు
So the beautiful setting of Lord Rama with Janaki. So in the as Hema said, the Charanam has a setting that thyAgarAja Swami imagines vividly. So if you go all the way, then Ekantamunanu Janaki Erpadi Undaga. So there's Rama and Sita Mata. They are alone inside the house, and if you come a little out, his brothers are there. Lakshmana, Bharata and Shatrughna. His brothers Srikarulagu, Nitammulu. So all the warriors, your brothers are there protecting you. So, and then if you come a little farther outside at the gate, Hanuman is protecting the whole house. He is the Dwarapalaka. So there are so many hurdles to reach you, and you are so unreachable in this setting. And please don't forget that there are people waiting to penetrate all these circles, all these hurdles, and they are trying to reach you. And please don't be content just because you are set with your 5 sevaks. So a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of agony, but thyAgarAja Swami very clearly he tries to appeal to the heart of the Lord, convince him that the 5 sevaks are not, they may be enough for you, but that's not all. There is a lot more to it. There are people like me who are longing to serve you. And one notable thing here, this was actually in a research, this was found by Sriman N.C.H. Krishnamacharya Garu, one of the greatest musicologists of 20th century. So he found, upon research, there is no in Ramayanam or any of the scriptures that we know of. There is no scene like this. There is no situation like this where Hanuman is a Dwarapalaka, is protecting the house, is sitting at the outside of the house protecting Rama when Rama is taking rest. But there is a reference to this situation in a Upanishad called Rama Rahasyopanishad. So this is a sub scripture text to Atharva Vedam, one of the 31 Upanishads attached to Atharva Vedam. And Rama Rahasya Upanishad is a small subtext which is which is narrated by Hanuman himself. So Hanuman gives the complete essence of SreerAma Tattvam in Rama Rahasya Upanishad. Lot of things that we don't know just by taking a very peripheral look at Ramayanam from an epic perspective. But the deep inner Tattvam of SreerAma and the power of SreerAma, Ramanama, Taraka Mantram, they are all described in Rama Rahasya Upanishad. And by one account, this is also the Upanishad that was narrated by Hanuman after the Rama Ravana the battle, when they are all back and Vibhishana becomes the king of Lanka. Hanuman gives him wisdom, and part of the wisdom that he would pass on to Hanuman as the newly coronated king is Rama Rahasya Upanishad. So in Rama Rahasya Upanishad, Hanuman tells Vibhishana, and he tells us that in future times, when everything, all the dust settles down and Rama is taking rest, then I will go and stand outside of Rama's abode, keeping him, giving him the peace of mind he needs. And when devotees come to Rama for anything, I would first ask them what do they need. If they ask for material comforts, if they come to Rama in search of material comforts, he would bestow them. Hanuman himself would bestow them rather than disturbing the Lord. And if they come in search of eternal wisdom, Brahmanandam, and the wisdom that only Lord can provide, which Hanuman thinks that he is not eligible to give it, then he would send them inside, and he would take the trouble of disturbing the Lord. So that bifurcation of devotees, depending on what they want, material comforts versus superior knowledge. So depending on what they want, Hanuman would give them the material comforts if they want, and then send them away or send them inside. So this situation, this setting is described by Hanuman in Rama Rahasya Upanishad. And it's very likely that thyAgarAja Swami may have got the idea from there. And he added, then what happens inside when Rama is taking rest? Then what is he doing? What inside? How the setting? Rama and Sita Mata in one part of the house, and then his brothers protecting him in another part of the house. He may have added out of his imagination. As I said earlier, thyAgarAja Swami is a brilliant storyteller, and he created so many settings like this, and they may be true. They may have been there may be references to these settings in scriptures. We don't know. Prahlad Bhakta Vijayam, Nauka Charitram, these are all the Mahakavyams that thyAgarAja Swami has created, beautiful stories that we don't see anywhere else. So he has visualized, he has imagined all these beautiful settings in his mind's eye and created stories around it, and this is one such beautiful story. Next, we'll present a composition in a somewhat rare raga called Kalavati. And this is also a situational composition. Again, thyAgarAja Swami sings in ecstasy. He imagines in this composition the panchAyatana, the sevaks, they are all sitting happily, and then they are talking to each other. They are describing the traits, the characteristics of the Lord. They are describing how great the Lord is, the SreerAma Tattvam. They are explaining that to one another, each of them, and then they are finding a lot of joy in sharing that information among themselves. And the Lord would witness the situation, and he would feel happy that his sevaks are all in unison, and then they are doing it. So this is another very nice and beautiful screenplay of the panchAyatana coming to life, the five sevaks coming to life and talking to each other in thyAgarAja Swami's imagination. And this raga Kalavati is a janya of Chakravakam. There are actually in Carnatic music, there are three different ragas known by Kalavati. One is borrowed by Hindustani, which is the equivalent of our Valaji. The second raga is an Asampurna Melakarta Padhati. There is a 31st Melakarta, which is the equivalent of Yagapriya in Sampurna Melakarta, is also called Kalavati. And the third one is this is a janya raga of Chakravakam. So this is how it goes for the purpose of you, those of you who have heard this raga for the first time. This is how it goes. SreerAma pada sa dha pa ma ga sa re dha sa. And it doesn't look like the later composers have really adopted Kalavati, and even thyAgarAja Swami may not have composed extensively in this raga. Yannadu chutuno, yannadu chutuno, yannadu chutuno, yannadu chutuno, yinakula tilaka yannadu chutuno, yinakula tilaka yannadu chutuno, yinakula tilaka నిన్నడు చూతును, ఇనకుల తిలక నిన్నడు చూతును, ఇనకుల తిలక నిన్నడు చూతును, ఇనకుల తిలక నిన్నడు చూతును, ఇనకుల తిలక పన్నగ శయన, పన్నగ శయన, పన్నగ శయన, భక్త జనావన, పన్నగ శయన, భక్త జనావన, పన్నగ పన్నగ శయన పన్నగ శయన పన్నగ శయన భక్తజనావన పున్నమచందురు పన్నగ శయన భక్తజనావన పున్నమచందురు బోలుముఖమును ఎన్నడు చూపును పన్నగ శయన భక్తజనావన పున్నమచందురు బోలుముఖమును ఎన్నడు చూపును ఇనకుల తిలక నిన్నెన్నడు చూపును ఇనకుల తిలక నిన్నెన్నడు చూపును ఇనకుల తిలక ధరణిజ సౌమిత్రి భరతరిపుఘ్న ధరణిజ సౌమిత్రి భరతరిపుఘ్న వానరయూధపతి వరుడాంజనేయుడు ధరణిజ సౌమిత్రి భరతరిపుఘ్న వానరయూధపతి వరుడాంజనేయుడు కరుణతో ఒకరికొకరు కరుణతో ఒకరికొకరు కరుణతో ఒకరికొకరు నిల్నువర్ణింపను కరుణతో ఒకరికొకరు నిల్నువర్ణింపను ఆదరణను బిలిచే త్యాగరాజ చిత కరుణతో ఒకరికొకరు నిల్నువర్ణింపను ఆదరణను బిలిచే త్యాగరాజ ఆదరణను పిలిచే త్యాగరాజ చితను నన్నడు చూతును ధరణిజ సౌమిత్రి భరత రిపుఘ్న వానరయూధపతి వరుడాంజనేయుడు కరుణతో ఒకరికొకరు నిల్నువను ఆదరణను పిలిచే త్యాగరాజ చిత నిన్నడు చూతును ఇనకుల తిలక నిన్నడు చూతును ఇనకుల తిలక నిన్నడు చూతును ఇనకుల తిలక So very small and slow tempo composition. Charanam is where the whole panchAyatanam's picture comes. Dharanija Saumitri Bharata Ripugna Vanarayudhapati Varudu Anjaneyedu. So all these five people. Karunato Okarinakaru Ninnu Varnimpa. They are all talking to each other and with a lot of joy and mirth. They are describing the Lord, the traits and characters and the characteristic traits of how the Lord looks like, what the Lord is all about. They are talking to themselves, and that's the subject of their conversation. And as they are doing it, Adaranato Piliche Tyagaraja Archita. So when they are doing it, the Lord witnesses the situation, the scene. And then he with a lot of respect and gratitude, he calls on every one of them with a lot of love and respect. Tyagaraja Archita. So that's the scene. But the Pallavi and Anupallavi have Tyagaraja Swami's longing to see the Lord. And he has always, in many of his compositions, he has been so pained that he cannot see the Lord. So he's wondering, when would I see the Lord? When would I see you, Rama, as you are in the situation like this, and when you are so happy that these things are happening, your panchAyatanam, your five sevaks, your parivar is all with you, and you are at the height of happiness. And Pannagasena Bhakta Janavana Punnama Chandurvolu Mukhamunu. So when there is glow in his face, when all these things are happening, then Lord's face is like the full moon. And such a beautiful face, when will I see, is what Tyagaraja Swami is asking, and he is longing to see the Lord. That's Raga Kalavati and Ennada Chutano. Finally, we'll present another beautiful storytelling composition in Raga Karahara Priya. This is a Divyanama Sankirtana, and this is an epitome of panchAyatanam, thyAgarAja panchAyatanam, in my opinion, because this composition doesn't have any pain. It has got only storytelling, only ecstasy, and thyAgarAja Swami goes into very detailed description of if a film director goes in, and then the characters, he would bring the characters to life and they are talking to each other. You imagine the conversations happening between the characters. Specifically in this composition, in this Divinama Sankirtana, all the conversations are now happening with the Lord. So it's like when we get together for a festival. After having a nice feast, we all get together in the afternoon. We all sit, chat, talk to each other. Whatever is happening in each other's lives, and there is a lot of happiness in the air in such a get together. So thyAgarAja Swami creates a scene that's similar to that with Ram Parivar, where they're all sitting. Rama is sitting there, and then there are all his sevaks, his 5 sevaks come, and they all interact with him. And it's the way he created the story, he's narrating it is in the form of a conversation and a response. So Sita comes and does something and Rama responds to it. Then Lakshmana does something and Rama responds. Bharata comes, Rama responds. So for each of them, it's like a beautiful story unfolding in the form of either a conversation or a response, a stimulus and response fashion. Pahirama Ramayanutsu Bhajana Sere in Raga Kharhara Priya.
Rama Ramayanuchu Bhajana Seyave Paki Rama Ramayanuchu Bhajana Seyave Ma Paki Rama Ramayanuchu Bhajana Seyave Ma Paki Rama Ramayanuchu Bhajana Seyave Kanikarambu Baliki Sita Kantunikana Ga Manasura Zillabalke Madana Janaku Paki Rama Ramayanuchu Bhajana Seyave Kanikarambu Baliki Sita Katuni Kana Ga Manasura Zillabalke Madana Janaku Paki Rama Ramayanuchu Bhajana Seyave Valuvadidi Saumitri Valachi Nilva Ga Kaluvareku Lanugeru Kanula Juche Valuvadidi Saumitri Valachi Nilva Ga Kaluvareku Lanugeru Kanula Juche Paki Rama Ramayanuchu Bhajana Seyave Bharatudara Vela Karagi Nilva Ga Karamubati Kaugalilchi వరదుడపు భరతుడాగ వేళ కరగి నిల్వగా కరవుబటి కౌగలించే వరదుడపు పాహి రామ రామాయణుచు భజన సేయవే చెడ్డ శత్రు గృఢపుడు అఖండ వృత్తితో గృఢ సంత సిల్లికో దండరాము చెడ్డ శత్రు గృఢపుడు అఖండ వృత్తితో గృఢ సంత సిల్లికో దండరాము పాహి రామ రామాయణుచు భజన సేయవే మనసు తెలిసి కలిసి హను మంతుడుగా చనువు మాట లాడుచుండే సార్వభౌముడు మనసు తెలిసి కలసి హను మంతుడుగా చనువు మాట లాడుచుండే సార్వభౌముడు పాహి రామ రామాయణుచు భజన సేయవే వీరి కరుణ కలిగేపుడు వెలసి యుదు సారమైన భక్తి చేత సన్నుతిల్తు వీరి కరుణ కలిగేపుడు వెలసి యుదు సారమైన భక్తి చేత సన్నుతిల్తు పాహి రామ రామాయణుచు భజన సేయవే ధర్మార్థ కామమోక్ష దానమేల మర్మమేరుగ లేని ఇంద్ర శర్మమేల ధర్మార్థ కామ మోక్ష దానమేల మర్మమేరుగ లేని ఇంద్ర శర్మమేల పాహి రామ రామాయణుచు భజన సేయవే బాధ కరుణ చేసి ఎప్పుడు భవ్య మొసగు త్యాగరాజు చేయి బట్టి దయను చూచును బాగా కరుణ చేసి ఎప్పుడు భవ్య మొసగు త్యాగరాజు bhajana seyave maam pahi Rama Ramayanuchu bhajana seyave bhajana seyave bhajana seyave.
So as you can see, a nice story has unfolded in this Divyanama Sankirtan. And it's again thyAgarAja Swami's imagination, and as I said, beautiful stories are told by thyAgarAja Swami out of ecstasy when he does the panchAyatana upAsana. So in the every stanza, so he goes, there is no much emotion, there is no agony, but he is just telling what happens in the situation, as if a director would write a screenplay, scene by scene, what the characters do. So first, Kanikarambu Kalgi Sita Kantuni Kanaga. So drama is sitting there, and with a lot of love and affection, Sita Devi has just gave him a glance. She didn't say anything. She just looked at him with a lot of love and affection. And Manasu Ranjilla Balke Madana Janakudu. So, and he started talking. And Rama is known to talk. He's the first one to talk when he encounters somebody. So he started talking sweetly as a response to the glance that he got from Sita Mata with a lot of love and affection. Then thyAgarAja Swami goes on with the screenplay. Valuvadiddi Saumitri Valachinilvaga. So when a king is getting ready to go to the court, typically what happens is his servants would come. They would make sure that he is properly, his attire is all ready for the court. His everything on the ornaments and the clothes that he wears, everything is perfect. So that's not Valuvadiddi. So Lakshmana comes, he checks that is ready, the king is ready to go, and he does the final inspection, and then he just stands by in ecstasy. Then Rama looks at him, Kaluvare Kulanu Geru Kanula Suchana. So he gives him a glance back with eyes that are like lotus. Beautiful eyes. He just gives him a glance. So there's no talking, there's no conversation, but see how much interaction is happening in thyAgarAja Swami's imagination there. Now Lakshmana is done. Then Bharata Vela Karagi. Then Bharata comes. Then he comes, and then he would melt in devotion to the Lord. And he stands there with a lot of devotion. Karamu Batti Kaugalinche Varadudappudu. So he holds the hand of his dear brother, and then he gives him a big hug. So and look at the poetic aspects. Bharatuda Vela Karagi Karaginilvaga. So that the word Karagi is used in two different contexts. So Avela Karagi, Avelaku Karagi is he came at that time, and then Karaginilvaga, he completely melted down in devotion for the Lord. And Karamu Batti Kaugalinche. So Karagi and Karamu. So a lot of poetic aspects come out of the ecstasy out of thyAgarAja Swami when he creates compositions like this. Then Chanda Satrughna Akhanda Vrittito Undaga. Then Satrughna, his role is to exterminate the enemies. And when he is doing it, when he is so razor focused on his job, Santasille Kodandaramudu. So Lord felt very happy with seeing Satrughna at work. Manasu Delisi Kalasi Hanumanturundaga. So Anjaneya, his role is he's an ardent devotee. So he knows the heart of Rama. He lives in the heart of Rama. So he knows what Rama needs. He knows what Rama likes, and he stands there and then doing everything that the Lord would like. And Hanuman, when Hanuman is doing it, Sanu Mataladusunde Sarvabhaumudu. So he is talking to him with a lot of affection with Hanuman. So just look at the sequence, the stimulus and response. So each of the servants in the panchAyatana does something, and then thyAgarAja Swami's imagination of the response of the Lord, what the Lord said, what the Lord did in response to what he saw. And then he summarizes. This is a beautiful scene and situation, but what is there in it for me? And he asked, Viri Karuna Kaligi Epudu Velasinduno. So all these devotees, not just Lord Rama, thyAgarAja Swami has a great respect for the whole panchAyatana, the whole Parivar, Ram Parivar. So when will I be blessed by this whole beautiful family of Lord SreerAma? Saramaina Bhakti Cheta Sannatintuna, when with pure and pure devotion, when will I be praising them? When will I be worshipping all these great people in Ram Parivar is what he is asking. So as I said, thyAgarAja Swami doesn't leave any question unanswered, and his motivation is always to be with the Lord, to be blessed by the Lord, to get close to the Lord, to get the attention of the Lord. So after the screenplay is over, after the situation is over, he now takes a step back into, okay, now this is beautiful, but I want my own stuff out of it, which is I want to be recognized. I want Lord, I want all this great parivar to bless me, and I want the ability to praise and worship this beautiful family. Then he goes on, Dharmartha Kama Moksha Dana Melane, the Varma Meraleni, Indra Sarma Melane. So unless you know the whole the tattvam, without that, if you just worship, if you don't go deep into it, if you don't absorb the essence of Rama Bhakti, then what is the use of, even if you Indra Sarma Melane, even if you Indra Sarma is the position of Lord Indra, which is the Lord of the universe, Lord of heaven. Even if you are appointed, even if you conquer the worlds, even if you become the king of heaven, what is the use if you don't absorb the essence of Rama Bhakti? And Bhagakarana chesi eppudu velasi eppudu bhavyamasaguno thyagaraja cheyabatti dayanu chusuna. So again he comes back. When will I get the full mercy? When will I get the full attention of the Lord? And when will the Lord will come and hold my hand in respect and in devotion, just like he did to his other servants in panchAyatana? And thyAgarAja Swami always inserts himself. He imagines himself being part of that close group of the Lord. So this is an epitome of panchAyatana, and it's as if thyAgarAja Swami is sitting here, he is worshipping the deities, and they all come to life, and then they would start acting, making these gestures, talking to each other, make the conversations happen. So a beautiful story and a great description of the Ram Parivar in this composition. We will conclude, since this is not the last segment, so we won't be technically singing a Mangalam to conclude, but what I will do is I'll now present a Divyanama Sankirtana, which is a Dashavatara Divyanamam. So for thyAgarAja Swami, everything is Lord Rama, just like many of you are probably familiar with the Jayadeva Ashtapadi, Dashavatara Ashtapadi, Pralaya Payodhi Jale. And for Jayadeva, Krishna is the center of the universe. For thyAgarAja Swami, Rama is the center of the universe. So he would go into all the Dasyavataras, all the 10 incarnations of Vishnu, and every one of them he would conclude that it is SreerAma. SreerAma is it. And then he would go into descriptions of the Dasyavatarams, but finally he says SreerAma. So it's a very straightforward Dasyavatara Divyanamam, and we'll conclude with this composition of thyAgarAja Swami. दीन जनावन श्रीराम दानवहरण श्रीराम दीन जनावन श्रीराम दानवहरण श्रीराम वीन विमान श्रीराम मीन शरीर श्रीराम दीन जनावन श्रीराम दानवहरण श्रीराम वीन विमान श्रीराम मीन शरीर श्रीराम निर्मल हृदय श्रीराम कार्मुख बाण श्रीराम निर्मल हृदय श्रीराम कार्मुख बाण श्रीराम कर्म फल प्रद श्रीराम कूर्मावतार श्रीराम श्रीकर सुगुण श्रीराम श्रीकर लालित श्रीराम श्रीकर सुगुण श्रीराम श्रीकर लालित श्रीराम श्रीकरुणार्णव श्रीराम सुकर रूप श्रीराम श्रीकरुणार्णव श्रीराम सुकर रूप श्रीराम सरसिज नेत्र श्रीराम सुरपति विनुत श्रीराम सरसिज नेत्र श्रीराम सुरपति विनुत श्रीराम नरवरवेश श्रीराम नरहरि रूप श्रीराम नरवरवेश श्रीराम नरहरि रूप श्रीराम कामित फलद श्रीराम पामर दूर श्रीराम कामित फलद श्रीराम पामर दूर श्रीराम सामज वरद श्रीराम वामन रूप श्रीराम सामज वरद श्रीराम वामन रूप श्रीराम अघति मिरादित्य श्रीराम विगलित मोह श्रीराम अघति मिरादित्य श्रीराम विगलितमोह श्रीराम रघुकुलतिलक श्रीराम भृगुसुतरूप श्रीराम रघुकुलतिलक श्रीराम भृगुसुतरूप श्रीराम कुशलवजनक श्रीराम कुशलद चतुर श्रीराम कुशलवजनक श्रीराम कुशलद चतुर श्रीराम दशमुखमर्दन श्रीराम दशरथनन्दन श्रीराम दशमुखमर्दन श्रीराम दशरथनन्दन श्रीराम कलिमलहरण श्रीराम जलज भवार्चित श्रीराम कलिमलहरण श्रीराम जलज भवार्चित श्रीराम सुललित वचन श्रीराम हलधर रूप श्रीराम सुललित वचन श्रीराम हलधर रूप श्रीराम सिद्धजन प्रिय श्रीराम प्रसिद्ध चरित्र श्रीराम सिद्धजन प्रिय श्रीराम प्रसिद्ध चरित्र श्रीराम बद्ध सुवासन श्रीराम बुद्धावतार श्रीराम बद्ध सुवासन श्रीराम बुद्धावतार श्रीराम जयकर नाम श्रीराम विजयरथ सारथे श्रीराम जयकर नाम श्रीराम विजयरथ सारथे श्रीराम भयनाश हरे श्रीराम हयमुख रूप श्रीराम भयनाश हरे श्रीराम हयमुख रूप श्रीराम भागवत प्रिय श्रीराम आगममूल श्रीराम भागवत प्रिय श्रीराम आगममूल श्रीराम नागसुशयन श्रीराम त्यागराजार्चित श्रीराम नागसुशयन श्रीराम thyAgarAja SreerAma Deenajanavana SreerAma Danavaharana SreerAma Deenajanavana SreerAma Danavaharana SreerAma 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 So that was the Dasyavatara Divinamam. One beautiful thing with the Dasyavataras is there is a lot of interpretations. Typically, if you look at the Jayadeva Astapadi versus the Dasyavatara Divinamam and other Dasyavatara, any krithis or compositions that cover Dasyavatarams, there is a way you would normally see a kind of a variation. The first 7 until the Ramavataram are fixed. Matsya Kurma Varahascha Narasimhascha Vamanaha Ramo Ramascha. So that's fixed. So those 7 are fixed. Then 8, 9 and 10, it's interesting that every composer and every devotee and even some scriptures, they have taken different aspects of Vishnu, and in scriptures there are actually, some people say there are not the Dasyavatarams but 21 different incarnations of Vishnu if you count the minor avatars, like during the Kshetrasagar Madhanam, Vishnu also came in addition to Kurma Avataram. After the Sagar Madhanam, he also came in as Viswamohini. So counting Viswamohini, even though that's not that avataram has not spanned as long as the major avatars, but it is still a form of Vishnu. And during the Mohini Bhasmasura time also Vishnu came in the female form. And in later scriptures, Lalita Sahasranamam for example has been told by the Hayagriva Agastya Samvadam. So Hayagriva is also an incarnation of Vishnu. So if you count all these smaller incarnation of Vishnu, there are probably 21, and there are probably even more avatars. So devotees, the scholars have taken different way of counting the slots 8, 9 and 10 to fit into the framework of the Dasyavatarams. So thyAgarAja Swami in this one, he counted after the 7th, which is SreerAma. Then instead of counting Krishna, he is counting Balarama, Haladhararoopa SreerAma. So Balarama. So by some accounts, Ramo Ramascha Krishnascha, or you can say Ramo Ramascha Ramascha, Parashuram, SreeRam and Balaram. So 3 incarnations of Vishnu are also counted by some people. Then the 9 and 10 slots are filled by sometimes slot 10 is either Venkatesha or Kalki, or 10 in thyAgarAja Swami's opinion it was Hayagriva. So he says Hayamukharupa SreerAma, and he counts Balaram, then Buddha, then Hayagriva as 8, 9 and 10 avatars. So it's interesting how people take different aspects of Vishnu and fit into that framework. So with that we conclude today's presentation on SreerAma panchAyatanam and paying homage to the greatest ever composer and musician and musicologist of Indian classical music, who showed us the path of music, devotion and salvation together in one single capsule, if you will. So Pushyamasam, in 2 weeks we are going to we are going to witness the Punyatithi of Sri thyAgarAja Swami, and we sincerely thank the Viswaroopa Saya organization for giving us this opportunity to pay homage to this great composer and remember and share a few insights into some of thyAgarAja Swami's compositions.
Thank you, Kishore Garu and Hema Garu, once again
Thank you so much.
for the support, and you have contributed a lot. Thank you very much. And we look forward to seeing you the next week and tomorrow also. Please, please attend the other concerts and encourage the others also. Thank you. With that, we will continue to the next program. Next, we have Swapanti Malla Joshila on violin. So let me actually